adoption of agenda. Could I get a motion to adopt the agenda, or do you see any issues with it?
I will make a motion to adopt the agenda as is.
Moved by Councillor Zimmer. Could I have a question, please?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer that the agenda be adopted as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Minutes. Regular meeting, January 8th. Do you see any errors and omissions in there? If not, could I get a motion to,
I motion that we accept the minutes from the January 8th meeting as presented.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Moore that the regular meeting minutes of January 22nd, 2018 be accepted as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have a delegation tonight. Chad Bestbluck. Is he in the room? Oh, there he is. Come on out.
Where should I stand?
There, we got a special
Got a
hot seat
chair
for you
right for you.
there.
So I speak just to you guys?
Yeah.
Perfect.
We'll introduce everybody first. We'll start with
Brad Sloshberger. Steve Carlson. Greg Zimmer.
Doug McPherson.
Gavin Moore.
Yeah, okay, first of all, congratulations on the newly elected council and mayor. Thank you for taking on this huge responsibility that I think probably quite often you feel is a thankless job, but we realize everything you guys do, so thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Chad Bestplug. I grew up here. I have since, I don't live here anymore, but I am a citizen of Claresholm right here, very connected with our community still. I was a professional bull rider for years, recently retired, but I started an event here 5 years ago, professional bull riding event in the Agriplex, and it's, I guess, well, this is our 5th year, and it's grown into one of the coolest little events we do. I run a company now that produces professional bull riding events across Western Canada. All of them are in different facilities than this one. What's unique about this one is it's a very intimate setting once we bring in all the stands and add everything to it. But the very cool thing is I look around and see so many people I know, guys I went to high school with, see our community coming together. So I'll just tell you a little bit about kind of where we've come in the last 5 years. So what kind of separates us from other stuff that goes on there at the Agriplex is we completely recreate the arena. It looks nothing like it does now, and this is where I would like you guys to, even if you have a chance when you're driving past there, go and take a look now, and then come and see what our show looks like. We have about 1,200 people every year. It's sold out every year we've done it, and you know, for a town our size, that is crazy that we're there. We've raised about $50,000, which consistently goes back into the community. I've had the help of the kinsmen in town. I'm friends with lots of them, and I'm really impressed with how connected they are to the community and things they're doing. So they really help me allocate those funds where they're needed as we go. Last year we added a bunch of production to our show. So we started using intelligent lighting in a dark house. It feels more like a rock show than a rodeo now. And a big reason we did that is we had an opportunity to get it televised on Shaw. And we had high hopes of moving into the new building that's there, which we think at a minimum will add potentially 600 ticket buyers in the future. Turns out the building won't be to code this year, but we will be next year. So this is a good point for us to start.
Yeah.
We've got a year to work on this thing. You know, since we started this, we never had the idea of just doing a show that'd be the same, doing it every year. We want to see how we can build it and get our community more involved. The the one way we really feel like we can do this is add days to the show. So, you know, if our show's a Friday, Saturday, we have big hopes that people will come in Friday, stay Friday, all day Saturday, go to the shops in Claresholm, eat at the local restaurants, stay in hotels, leave Sunday. Moving into this new building will give us that opportunity. I guess that's why a big reason for coming here tonight is just start the conversation of where we can go. We want to think about how can we mobilize the community around this event. Not so much on when we move to that new building. Yeah, we need a bunch more people, and that's how we can have this thing make sense financially to do it here. 600 more ticket buyers will get us to that point. We've got 600 more people right here that we can get out there and be part of the event. And I guess that's we'd like to get the juices flowing and see what ideas you guys have and what we can work on together. Yeah, you know what? I know I've been lucky enough to get to know a lot of leaders in this community. Some who are sitting here tonight, some who are volunteers and are part of other organizations locally that are really passionate about our town and about us bonding as a community. And I think with this new town council, I'm old enough now. I understand where you guys are coming from a little bit better. So I think I'd love to join forces with you guys and just start a dialogue on how we can grow this event. That being said, I think one obstacle that you can possibly help us overcome is the Agriplex is a hub in Claresholm. It brings so much to our community. Where I think the Agriplex community, which I'm a part of, needs to we need help. I guess being more open or accessible to the rest of the community who possibly is uncomfortable with kind of that setting. If you're not used to growing up around rodeo and horses, that I can see that being an intimidating environment, but we want to be nothing like that. I guess if I can leave you guys just with one question is how can our bull riding event better engage and help our community, and how can we help every member of our community feel like they're part of it and be involved with that weekend. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Chad, we got to get a chance to ask you some questions then.
Yes, sir.
I know you're nervous, but it'll be okay.
Are you asking us for to help you with fundraising or
No.
to do a community event? I don't understand. Are donations?
No, not at all. I'm just wanting to start a dialogue with you
Okay.
guys, and as we when we move into this new facility, like I said, potentially 600 more ticket buyers a day. I would like ideas that, if you guys are in your everyday life running your business or whatever you're doing and you're like, you know what, maybe this is a good idea. Maybe this will bring us together a little bit. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here asking anything. Just wanting to, everything starts with a conversation, and
Yeah,
that's what
for sure.
I'm posing here.
I love bull riding.
Yeah, perfect.
One thing you did mention when we met for lunch was that if when the other building's ready and you can start in there, a possible further draw of people is you could have another type of event. You talked about Elaine putting on a barrel racing or something in the at the original Agriplex.
Yes,
So
sir.
that would bring another 800 people in probably.
Yes, sir. We figured, and that definitely is what we want to do. Our probably our best plan of attack is to have the new building, the old building, and the community center all roll in at the same time. So what when we're in the new building and we have this barrel racing event in the old one, it can bring between 250 and 300 competitors to town, which some of those ladies will bring their families with them, which is great. So if we can keep them there for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's even better. The great thing with that too is most of those people will be from out of town, so we're bringing money in from out of town. And I guess without I didn't quite say it in here, but if there's something we can do in that community center, I know that there's the craft fair, I believe at the start of February in there. You know, some type of trade fair, ag fair. The tough thing we run into is wintertime here. It's tough for all of us come together, so we have to do it where it's
Everybody's
warm.
doing it.
So
Yeah.
stuff like that is something I would like to have a further conversation over the next year about, and see how that can be something that really involves local business.
Well, I think you've got a lot of interest at the table here for this, and the one thing I would say is, for the people from EDC is that you should reach out and get a hold of Chad also. We'll discuss this, and it'll come back to the next council meeting for us to
Mhm.
come up with some ideas or put forward something, but it's great that you're making contact with us, and I think through the EDC and possibly the chamber, that we could maybe enlarge on this and somehow partner up, and I'd love to see us work with you, because it's a boom to town. I mean, if you bring 1,000 or more people into town for a weekend, all the businesses in town are gonna benefit.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Is, Chad, is parking a problem with
No.
that many people
So-
in their trailers and stuff?
So with the no, and especially as of right now with that lot just to the south of the Agriplex, we clear that and there's a ton of parking over there now. If we have all 3 buildings going, that'll be something we'll have to talk about, because so right now with our event there's no horse trailers. If we do the barrel racing event, there'll be a lot of horse trailers which take up a lot of room. So that will be something we'll have to talk about. But the nice thing is there's a lot of land around there that can be utilized, especially when the ground's frozen, which hopefully it is.
Another point, the Winter Festival on the 10th that is set up there. Are you advertising in that? 'Cause we've-
You know what? I just became aware of that last week. I haven't reached out to them yet. As far as advertising with where our event is now, we're gonna have more people want to come than we're allowed to let in.
Oh.
So we're fine as far as that goes. But next year, adding
What
600 more people, we
And
don't
another
have.
event.
We probably have 100 people knocking at the door right now. We don't have 600. So that's a good point. We should still advertise this year in hopes that that stays. We stay relevant for next year.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, that's good. Any other questions for Chad at this time? Marianne, you got anything? No? Well, thanks for coming, and
Thank you very much.
we'll be in touch, and hopefully we can work together in the future.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Perfect.
All right.
Thanks.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Chad.
Moving on to Bylaw 1636. It says second and third reading. Marion? I'm moving the chair so you can see.
Bylaw 1636 is the amendment to the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board bylaws. So we had first reading at the last meeting. The purpose of this bylaw is to be compliant with the new Municipal Government Act and the appointment of members to that committee, to that appeal board. And the bylaw states that the appeal board shall not be composed of more than 5 persons who are adult residents of the town of Claresholm, and there shall be a maximum of 1 member of council sitting to hear any individual appeal. Also, before participating in a hearing, the members must be qualified, so they must take the training, and anyone who's appointed, we have to notify the minister of the appointment and their training that they've taken.
Okay. Any questions? Well, somebody got a motion for a second reading? Donna? Councillor Courage? We get to hear that question?
Moved by Councillor Courage to give bylaw number 1636 regarding the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, second reading.
All in favor? Carried. Somebody have a third reading? Councillor. Flush word.
He didn't hear the script.
What did you say? I didn't hear anything.
I waved my hand.
Can we hear the question, please?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to give bylaw number 1636 regarding the subdivision and development appeal board third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. Next is bylaw 1637, designated officers. Marion?
So bylaw 1637 is an amendment to the designated officer bylaw as per the changes to the Municipal Government Act and Regulations. Again, with the subdivision and development appeal board, the appeal board clerk must be appointed as a designated officer. So this amendment to the bylaw appoints the subdivision and development appeal board clerk as a designated officer and gives them the right to carry out the duties and responsibilities as laid out in the legislation.
Yes.
So we had the first reading, Mr. Mayor, last time, and second and third reading today, but nothing really changed with what we read, right?
Nothing changed from the last time. There's been no input into it to change the wording, no.
Okay. You just have to make sure it's read 3 times.
It has to be read by law 3 times.
Yep.
And it can't be done in the same meeting without a unanimous vote. So, and that's not usually pushed. You give people time to think about it by doing one reading and then moving it to the next agenda.
Thank you.
So is anybody willing to make a motion on that?
I make a motion to move.
I think Donna beat you.
Donna got it, okay.
Councillor Courage. Question, please.
Moved by Councillor Courage to give bylaw number 1637 regarding designated officers second reading.
All in favor? Third reading, please.
I move.
Councillor Schultz, can I have a question, please?
Moved by Councillor Schultz to give bylaw number 1637 regarding designated officers third and final reading.
Any questions before we vote? All in favor? Carried. Delegation response. Susan Holland, Claresholm Citizens Coalition. This was a request from, we heard Susan at the last meeting, and she had a request for us to change the format of the open house, was the main gist of it, was it not? Yeah, and we have discussed that, and we're gonna go with the townhouse type meeting, town hall type meeting, not townhouse. But we will just be out in the, we're gonna have Gavin, our representative from the Old Man Regional Planning Commission, do a presentation, and then the council and myself will be out amongst you guys to answer any questions you have, and any questions you want taken forward, we will write down, we will bring them back, and we will answer them we'll try and do it by the next council meeting.
And can I just clarify, it's to do in relationship with municipal development? It's not to do with anything else other than municipal development? So any questions?
The main flair of it is to do with municipal development, but if you have any other questions, the councillors, bring them forward. It's an open house for any questions that you want to bring, but the gist of it, the reason for having the open house is the municipal development plan. But you're not limited to that. If you've got a question for us about the arena or the golf course or the ball diamonds, bring them forward. I mean, we're here to listen, and we'll react as fast as we can. Is there anything to add to that? Anybody want to add to that about the response to the Citizens Coalition? Okay.
My understanding of it is it's really a team building, it's a collaborative process. So Gavin is coming in from our representative company and offering this explanation of what it takes to develop a community. And then we as citizens of this town are going to be offering questions and asking how we can help to steer and navigate.
Yeah, if we can give him, he'll have a plan laid out, like a document laid out, and if you guys have input where it needs to be changed, and we're finding that, that's what this meeting's for, and we will incorporate it. you know, if it works for everybody, some suggestions, then we will incorporate it into the plan. It's definitely to hear from your side if we're doing the right thing with this document, because, I mean, we're, the only person that'll truly understand this document is Gavin. The rest of us are, you know, we're gonna be walked through it, and it's right there, yeah.
This is it.
But that's the original. I mean, the draft is not complete yet. It'll be there. Okay. Next one, correspondence, MD of Willow Creek. This was really good news. It came from Cindy. They have agreed to put an elected representative on our EDC. So we now have Glenn Elm on the EDC. So that, I think, that completes the picture of what this council tried to create with EDC. You know, less of our council input and more of the community and the MD in there. So I'm really thinking this is great. You got something to add, Marion?
Yes, it would be best to have a resolution to appoint him to the Economic Development Committee, because this is their recommendation, and so
we
now
need
council
appointment.
needs to appoint by way of resolution.
I have a question. Does Glen Elm live in town?
Glen Elm is one of the 3 designated for out of town. We always designated that spot. That
For
was
out of
the
town.
whole purpose
You
of it.
said before that you already had 3 people.
He was always considered one.
Oh, but you knew
And
that
I'd mentioned that
before
to you before.
he
The MD
was-
was considered one of them.
Hmm.
So is anybody willing to make a motion to Councillor Schlossberger? Any other questions? All in favor? Carried.
You don't ask for opposed anymore?
There was only one left. I knew you were opposed. Opposed?
Okay.
Opposed? I mean, there you go. Okay, we're moving on to Alicia Cole. Letter of support for craft hockey application. Marion, you want,
I'll just
can we? Yeah.
okay. Okay, so I think I know everyone at the table except for Donna. So my name's Alyssa. Grew up in Claresholm, live west of Claresholm now. I was watching a NHL game one weekend and seen that Craft Hockeyville was available to apply for again. And once I had done some investigating, see if anyone else was going to apply town for Claresholm for it, no one else was going to. So I took it upon myself to do some research and apply Claresholm for it myself. So I have done that. It's up online. You can find it on Craft Hockeyville. The community has to come together and post pictures, videos. You can write your own story about why Claresholm should be the next Craft Hockeyville. Now the grand prize is $250,000 to our Claresholm Arena, and also a chance to host a NHL preseason game, which could happen in anywhere from the end of September to the middle of October. So I just need a letter of support from you guys saying that you will support if we do win this. Second, third, and fourth place also wins $25,000 for your arena upgrades. So, you know, it's still quite good, but I do need the community, and I know quite a 3, maybe 4 of you who have kids who do skate, have played hockey.
Have played hockey. Yeah.
So I need you to go on there, onto the website, and support our town in doing this, and hopefully it follows eventually. We have until February 11th to get our rally points up, and then they take it into their judging and announce the top 4 after that.
Okay.
And then we can vote. So
Can I ask, what, are you just waiting for our letter of support, and then once you get it, then you're gonna blast it out to everyone?
I have already put it on there.
Just a back.
Got maybe a little impatient.
That's okay.
So it gives us 20 days from today
Okay.
to do the rest. I'll put an ad in the paper, put posters around town, that type of thing. But as so far, I have shared it on Facebook, and we are on there. and there has been a few posts on there. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Cool. Thanks,
Perfect.
Alyssa.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alyssa.
Is anybody interested in making a motion to support that?
I'll make a motion to
Councillor Zimmer? That we
get a letter of support.
ready? Question, please.
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to write a letter of support for Alyssa Cole's application to Craft Hockeyville for arena upgrades.
Any other questions before we vote? All in favor? All opposed? Carried. Canadian Senior Pro Rodeo request for sponsorship. Marion.
The Canadian Senior Pro Rodeo Association is hosting the finals here in Claresholm October 11th to 14th this year, and they're looking for sponsorship for that event. In the past, 2016 and 17, we donated $500 as a buckle sponsorship. It's a great event for the community, brings a number of people into the community, and there's economic benefit, of course, attached to that.
So we just need a motion?
Yes.
Yeah, I would move that. It's a great cause.
Moved by Councillor Courage.
Or we just go, do I have to say the same amount as last year? Is that what we're doing?
I would say in your
Yeah.
motion $500.
$500.
Question, please.
Moved by Councillor Courage to support the Canadian Senior Pro Rodeo Association Senior Pro Rodeo Finals October 11th to 14th, 2018 with a sponsorship of $500.
All in favor? Carried. Moving along here. Request for decision. Policy PLDE 10-10, off-site levies.
I
Marion.
think you skipped the
Missed
golf
one.
course.
The golf
Did I skip
course?
the golf
Number 7.
Oh, they're not. Okay, there's a letter, yeah, I got that. I gotta find that. How did it? I pushed too fast, I went right over top. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, we have a letter of support, and this is a letter that was, came up in the meetings with the town through the golf course committee.
No,
And,
that thing that comes up on the side.
Brad, do you want to address that? You were involved in the letter.
I just wanted to show how much I support Bridges Golf Course. I have known a number of kids who have worked there over the last probably 6-7 years. Those kids have a job during the summer where they don't have to leave town, they don't have to drive, and have learned a lot at the golf course. They learn how to deal with the public, they learn how to deal with cash, and I would support Lyle Broderson on anything he does. He coached hockey, he looks after the curling rink, he helps with junior curling, and I just support the Bridges Golf Course as much as I can and appreciate that facility immensely.
Well, reading the letter that was compiled by Lyle, and it's roughly $19,000 a year goes into our community through, there are 3 charity tournaments that they put on. There's the Health Foundation, which is run by Ford, the Kinsmen, and the Firemen. And every nickel is made from those 3, goes into the community. So it was just at the last meeting for the golf course, this came up, and it was kind of important, and I talked to Brad about it, and he helped Lyle put this together, and just an information for consideration with everything else that comes out of the golf course. Okay, we'll move on. Now we have rescind policy PLDE 10-10. Marion.
This is coming forward again because the changes to the Municipal Government Act and making sure that we're compliant with that act. Under the new act, we're required to publish all of our policies and bylaws relative to planning and development, which is part 17 of the act. As looking through that, we've been doing a review of our policies and bylaws, and this policy came to our attention. So the offsite levy is only able to be implemented by way of bylaw. So the policy itself is not within the legislation as it currently exists. So if council is interested in pursuing offsite levies, it's something that we would have to look at with an engineer as to what our future requirements may be for imposition of an offsite levy for development. But at this time, it's administration's recommendation that this policy, which is non-compliant with legislation, be rescinded.
It's unfortunate. Because like, looking back at the history of Clare's on the water line that runs through the subdivisions over here, the sewer outfall was directed to pick up those subdivisions. And back then, it wasn't pointed out to the council of the time that it would have had to have been identified and done by bylaw back then. So it's an unfortunate circumstance that we're stuck with. So I can understand it. So we will need a motion to rescind this so we're within the MGA.
I'll make that motion.
Councillor.
To rescind policy PLD 1010 offsite levies.
Question, please.
Moved by Councillor Carlson to rescind policy number PLDE 1010 regarding off-site levies effective January 22nd, 2018.
I hate this one.
We really have no.
We have no choice.
No.
All in favor? Carried. Decision, this is Councillor Courage, recorded vote. You'd like to speak to this?
Yeah, I just, after having a few issues trying to get a recorded vote or forgetting to ask for one on my own time, I think it's important that we have all our votes or our decision-making recorded for the public. Our federal government does it, our provincial government does it, the school boards do it. I see no reason why we shouldn't. It shows transparency, it makes us understand. If you're for or against, it doesn't matter. At least they know why you're doing it if it's all been passed. So I just think it just shows a lot of transparency, the way we vote, the way we're supposed to be voting for the way our people would want us to do, and that just shows them that we're doing that. And it's really, it's gonna cause Corrine more, I guess, effort than anybody, because you're just gonna have to type it in, but other than that, it's just a matter of everybody's gonna vote and don't have
So
to
it's
ask for it
going
anymore.
to show each of us saying yay or nay to
Right.
whatever decision we're
Yeah.
making. So
Yeah.
while we have it video streamed, you want it also typed out for every single vote.
Well, it's because this is gonna be recorded in all our minutes and for accuracy.
Same as that, yeah. I did talk to the school board, because you mentioned in there the school board, so I talked to the local school board, and they had put that forward as a motion, and it was discarded because they found it very cumbersome.
The local one, but you
Livingston.
know, of all the school boards in the province,
60%.
60%.
Yeah, and that's what they looked at too, but they still found it very cumbersome. So
Well, it's just a
they
matter-
chose not to do it, and I had a long talk with Brad Toon about it, because he was very in favor of it. But by the time they were done with it and going through the process, he said he also was not, lost interest in it.
The only thing that's going to happen is that we all vote the same, we all do everything we're all doing. Corinne is the only one that's going to have more work to do by typing out who said yes, who said no. And how many votes do we make in a meeting? 10 maybe, sometimes less, sometimes more, a couple of few. So there's really not a lot more, sorry Corinne, but it's your job.
Only-
So we just have to, I just think it shows transparency. I think it shows everybody that, you know, if you're voting for something or if you're not voting for something, then people understand why, like if you're voted down or
The
if you're
part that I
voted
don't get-
for.
I think we
Sorry.
superseded that by,
I don't get the part though, how they're gonna know why, like it's not gonna give them why, it's just gonna let them know, and then they can make whatever assumptions they want based on that.
Well, they
It
have
doesn't mean
video.
they're gonna know why, all they're gonna know is, and to me, that's just another act of division, it's just another way to separate us from one another and saying, wow, that delegation all agreed that this is the direction we're going, so to me, it shows solidarity, it shows that we're willing to work together with one another rather than feeling the need to point fingers at one another.
I think when it comes down to it, the point of council as a whole is once the vote has been cast, what we vote on at the table is the opinion of the council. And that's what we go forward with, right?
That's correct.
So if it's passed by a majority, that's whether I disagree with it or not. I represent the council, I convey what's been voted. If I'm adamant about something, I can request the vote. Do I see it as necessary to, at the beginning of the meeting, go, this is the agenda, let's get a recorded vote on that? I don't see that as productive. I think we've got the mechanism in place to have a recorded vote if you desire it, but in the end, whatever's voted on is the opinion of everybody at this table, is what majority states. So I tend to disagree with you.
anybody
Well,
else?
This is not about pointing fingers or any of that. This is just transparent government. They all do it. This
But
is not a new thing.
they don't all do it, but
Federally,
we're transparent
provincially.
because you can see who voted, but like Keith was trying to point out, whether I vote against something or not, if it passes, I am now voting with it.
Absolutely, I understand that.
So I
Everybody follows
I'm not
it.
worried about my
So
against vote being
even
out
at a
there.
recorded, even if we don't pass this and I request a recorded vote, I vote against it, it passes. When I walk out these doors, that's still my opinion, so it doesn't matter at that point in time whether or not we've got it written down. If I'm that adamant about it, I can get it written down, but for simple things like minutes and so on and so forth, I think it's obsessive.
And if everything's unanimous, it wouldn't have to be, you could just say unanimous. You don't even have to type all our names in, but when it comes to a point of having difference of opinions, although we all follow the rules, I understand that when a majority rules, it rules.
Yeah.
But it still is documented that,
And we've got the documentation right up on the roof there.
right, so if they wanna know the reasoning behind anything, they can watch the video and see the things that
The
are discussed.
the reasoning isn't stated, it's just your vote being recorded.
Well, we
Well,
seem
it's
to
a
be going,
transparency thing, it's,
Anyways.
that's what
we
it's
seem to
about.
be going around circles. Is
Yep.
there any new points to be put out?
Nope.
Anybody? There must be something new. No? Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
I motion that, did you type this up? Okay, go ahead.
So moved by Councillor Courage to amend bylaw number 1531, the procedural bylaw, to reflect that all motions of council require a recorded vote.
Correct.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Defeated. Request for decision, progressive discipline policy. This, Marion, this is union?
This policy is coming forward as a request from our employees' joint health and safety committee. They would like to have some guidelines in place for how discipline will be adhered to within the organization, both from management perspective as well as employees' perspective, so everyone has a clear understanding of how that will take place. Under the policy, the employee is given, there's 4 steps to discipline. It's very common to have a progressive discipline policy within your organizations. The employee would be notified in writing of every stage. As well, they have the right to have union or other representation with them, legal or whatever they choose as part of that process. Also, there's, within the policy, the ability to appeal any discipline that has been set out. This has been reviewed by the Administrative Services Committee, and it's coming forward as a recommendation. We've also reviewed this with the local QP president, executive, and their staff, and they support this policy as well. So we're presenting it tonight for approval from council.
Okay. Motion. Councilor Schlossberger. Any discussion on it? Any clarification needed?
We have no policy like this.
No, this is new.
No, this is brand new.
We're not replacing a policy. This is a request for a new policy. Any other discussion? Can we hear the question again?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to adopt policy number GA0118, the progressive discipline policy, effective January 22nd, 2018, as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Financial report. Marion, any highlights?
This is just our November and December statements. We have both here for you. Just one thing I want to point out is the statement of operations as it currently sits at December 31st being our year end. That will change with our financial statements due to year end entries, amortization, those types of things that will take place. So just want to point that out to council.
So we need a motion to accept the November 30th statement of operations first.
We have to do both, November then December.
Yeah, gotta do them separate.
I'll motion that we accept
Councillor
the
Moore,
November budget as presented.
statement of operations.
Statement of operations.
Question, please.
Moved by Councillor Moore to accept the consolidated statement of operations for the month ended November 30th, 2017, as presented.
All in favor? And if we could have a motion for December 31st statement of operations.
Make a motion
Councillor
for
Zimmer,
statement of
statement of operations.
Yes, please. Statement of operations.
Any questions on there? No? Question, please.
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to accept the consolidated statement of operations for the month ended December 31st, 2017, as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Information brief, transparency.
It doesn't like me. It keeps disappearing.
The floor is yours.
The floor is mine.
You want the floor?
Schultz, town councillor, great appreciator of this beautiful town of Claresholm. My ode to transparency. I'm almost as nervous as I was when we did the open forum. Holy crap. Right. Making progress. Making progress. This beautiful town held me and my family when we moved here 17 years ago. My husband and my 4 children and I came here along with my mother-in-law, and it was the house. It was the house that called us. It was the house that said, you belong here. So we moved to this town, and I got to raise my kids in this town, and in raising my family here, they got to play hockey, and they got to ride horses, and I got to find myself. I got to work at an auxiliary hospital and learn profound empathy and compassion by, having to change people's diapers it was a hell of a ride. Then I worked in education. I worked in Grantham School, and I worked with kids that lived on the fray who had had a hard ride. And I love them the very most. And then a practice I found, a movement practice, a conscious movement practice entered into my life, and I believed I had found my calling, and it was what I was going to do forever and ever. I was going to teach Nia, and I was going to teach yoga, and love was leading me. And then in the spring, I got this very strong sensation in my body that it was time to let go of a lot of what I knew to be true, what I thought I was going to do till I was 140. And I trusted, and I dropped the classes that I loved so desperately in Pincher Creek and in Lethbridge and even here in town. And I just trusted. And then one day, my best friend Vivian called me up and she said, hey, there's this my next door neighbor Donna Courage, she's really fighting for fitness parks for the seniors in this town, and I think you should talk to her. I think you should. So I said, awesome, I'm in. And I when Donna graciously invited me over, and I went over and had a cup of tea, and she told me about these fit parks that she was bringing into town, and I was like, I am so excited. This is amazing. I believe in you. And then something happened. A fire lit in my belly, and I knew I was going to join town council. I just knew it. And I had no acumen. I had no skills to bring to it, or so I thought. But I was trust and love. Love was guiding me into this. So I immediately left Donna's house, and I went straight here to this building, of which I had so little knowledge. I was so ignorant about what it means to be a part of town council. Not a friggin' clue. Grabbed my paper, went home, filled it out, took a picture of it and posted it on Facebook, because I knew if I didn't post it on Facebook, I would not make myself accountable. That's how I hold myself accountable. So I posted it, and I knew I was going to do it. One day, Donna reaches out to me and she says, hey, we're going to be practicing, and do you want to come? Do you want to come and practice with me? And I was like, yes, please. I have no clue what I am getting into, and good Lord, I would really love some help. All I know is I'm supposed to do this. So I went and I had some practices, and I was like, whoa, okay, thank you. What amazing friends you have. What amazing friends you have to support you and love you and do this practice with you. Holy crap. And as I'm practicing along, there's a lot of shade being thrown. There's a lot of division, a lot of divide and conquer, and this notion of having to throw people under the bus was really like ripe. And in my belly, I was like, I'm so grateful to be here, but man, this hurts me. This is not how I roll. I don't want to do this. So rather than telling Donna to her face and saying, you know, I greatly appreciate what you've done for me and I'm so grateful, I'm incredibly uncomfortable and I'm sorry. And this is not how I want to play in politics. I want to be a team player. I want to work with everybody and I want to collaborate. So I knew for me that that's not how I was going to play, and I felt really good about my decision. Then I went to Lethbridge, and there was a law firm, and I'm really sorry, I can't remember the law firm's name, that held a symposium that offered what is the responsibility of town council? What does it mean? Then this really fiery lawyer was hosting it, telling us this is your responsibility. And lucky me, these two men that I don't know at all, Brad and Keith, both said I could hitch a ride with them, and I got in the truck and I went to this symposium. And when I sat down, this lawyer, she was a firecracker, and she said, you're here and you're throwing your hat in for town governance, and this is the deal. If you have your own agenda, if you think you're gonna control this town on your own, don't do it. Don't sign up. And I thought, well, I definitely don't have an agenda, other than maybe some love and consciousness. That's about all I got to bring. Then the next thing they said is, you got to be a team player. You got to play with everybody. You got to work well in a team and be able to agree to disagree. And again, I was like, hey, heck yeah, I can do that. And the third thing was, you have to be able to receive no graciously. That was really important, to be able to hear that not everybody's going to agree with you. And can you graciously take that home and be mature and be a part of the team? So I left there driving home with these boys, and I was like, let me at it. I want in. This sounds super fun. Then the forum happens. My God, I didn't know I had that level of courage. It was the scariest thing I've done in my life. And lo and behold, me and a bunch of really nice humans got voted in. And that's what I took from it. I took from it that, wow, people in this town really care. They care. They want to know they're heard. They want to know people are kind. They want to know that we're working together, that there's no status and there's no separation. We're all just the same friggin' people paying taxes in this town, trying to get along. So I was like, I'm definitely, wow, what an adventure. I thought I was only going to practice dancing. No, I'm going to practice being here, hanging out with you guys, learning a whole bunch of stuff. So the process begins, and Marion is so magnificent at ensuring we have enough information. We have some basic foundation of what we're getting into. Aside from that, our mayor, Doug, also has served on council, so he knew what we were getting into. So again, Doug and Marion both said, having your own agenda, not a good idea. being a team player, super good idea, and being able to hear no. So again, I heard these things that lit me up and said, I want to be a part of that. We all get voted in, we take our oath, and I feel like, oh my Lord, what have I done? What am I getting into? I come to my first couple of meetings, and the amount of information being downloaded into me is blowing my mind. I have no clue. I had zero awareness of what it took to run a town. None. I plead ignorance. I apologize, and thank you for having the faith to vote me in. Holy crap. You have no idea what I didn't know. So we get into council, and then we have these orientations, and all of them state the exact same thing. Underlying messages. You're here to collaborate. You're here to work as a team. You're here to be able to hear no and be mature about it. Be an advocate. Be an emissary for your community. And I thought, well, I can communicate, and I know how to build team, and I really love learning and working with people. I'm in the right place. So I'm taken along. Information is being downloaded into me. And then all of a sudden, there's these jerk and stops over and over and over, and I become aware that a member of my ship on my team is hatcheting the bottom of our boat, because we're all just in a boat trying to steer this energy in one direction, but it's just being hacked at. I think, what the heck? And so, wanting to call it out because I'm a bit of a truth teller and really nervous, I sent Donna an email. I sent everybody an email, and I said, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. This doesn't feel safe to me. I'm calling it as I see it. I'm super uncomfortable. There's not team playing, and I have to lay it out on the ground. And I did. And I called it how I was relating to the dance, because that's how I see life, is a big dance. And hopefully we're all going to flow together and make some good stuff happen. And then it happens, and it happens, and it happens, and it happens again. And somehow I'm standing in the middle of this insane non-collaborative process, and I'm witnessing this woman who I really have great admiration and respect for. I think you're a hell of a fighter, and I think your energy is so misdirected. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. I think you're fierce, and to be a part of this team, we can make phenomenal shit happen. But you're so busy fighting us with this group that's supposed to love you, and you just keep tossing us all under the bus. So that's my ode to love. That's my ode to transparency.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
That's my ode to transparency. Thank you very much.
Wow. Well, thank you for that, Lisa. Okay, we'll move on from there.
I really wanted to play a song after and get us all up dancing, but Doug said no.
All right, we will move forward from here. ATCO working space, this is pretty self-explanatory. Marion, do you want to give us a quick rundown on it?
Just wanted council to be aware that there is going to be some disruption in front of the ATCO building. It's planned for in September. There will be a partial closure of the street there so that they can do some work. They're just doing some upgrades on their equipment at the station.
Yep.
So we've signed that agreement, and I just wanted council to be aware of that as it takes place.
Emergency Advisory Committee. Marion, you're up again.
All right, Bylaw 1566 is the Municipal Emergency Management Bylaw, and in that bylaw there's an Emergency Advisory Committee to be appointed by council. Those appointments were Councillor Schlossberger and Councillor Zimmer and myself, and we met on January 15th to review the emergency management plan. The bylaw also requires that the committee make a report to council after they've reviewed the plan and bring forward any recommended changes. At this point, the committee had no recommendations for change, so it's again just there for your information as for the bylaw. A couple other things I just want to point out, and I believe I've spoken with you about this before, but just a reminder that the emergency management training for elected officials is being hosted in Claresholm on April 4th, and that'll be for the region for all elected officials. And then we're also planning an emergency management exercise for later this year, and we're looking at something that we would do, not a tabletop, but an actual mock exercise so that we can test the plan and make any changes that may be necessary to
Those are scary. I did one of those. The disaster at the lights. That's scary. It's good to do though.
We'll make sure it takes place after the training for elected officials, so you understand your role.
Yeah, you could scare them to death.
So we're not quite so scared?
Okay, so we'll just move on to your report.
There's lots of information there from year in review, and if
Anything
you have any
you-
questions for me,
Anything you want to point out or that jumps out at you, or just questions from us?
just any questions you might have. I probably would like to point out on the development report, sorry, I just gotta find that section here. If you look at the number of dwelling unit starts, we're starting to see a trend increasing there, which is a positive thing for the community. There was a spike in 2011, and then it decreased from there down to 2014, and then from 15, 16, and 17, there's starting to be some increases in new housing starts. So I think that's a very positive thing to.
Yeah, it is. It's good. Can't remember what that spike in 11 was. What was that? What was 2011? Was that Cottonwood?
This is dwelling unit starts.
Oh,
so,
no, but the public.
I didn't look in 2011 stats to see what those
I just
actually.
can't remember what that was.
Permit value? Permit value?
Yeah, permit value. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. It's just kind of interesting. But it is nice to see ours going up. You know, there's a slow increase.
That was 2008 when Cottonwoods was.
Yeah, so it wasn't Cottonwood. Oh, let's see. Water treatment plant. Any questions from council? Some good reports.
Marion has
Yeah,
one,
really
sorry.
good.
Mayor, just one other thing maybe I should point
You
out.
said you were done.
Just as I'm flipping through there. I know, so, is in the recreation report, just wanted to point out with the arena, the increase in out-of-town rentals, and Denise has been working really hard on trying to get that ice built, and I think she deserves some recognition for
Nice.
that. Because
Thanks,
those
Denise.
numbers have grown substantially in the last few years, so that's great.
Nice.
It's just that they're right today. Our week is crazy because provincials are coming up. There's 2 Okotoks teams coming in. I've talked to the arena staff and stuff, and they both said with Denise working extra hard to get after she gets in and goes, and then whatever free ice time they have, she tries to allot out of town to bring in that out of town money because our out of town rates are higher. And if you go in there and look on the computer, like Barry's, the rink staff's rink is actually, there's no white spaces on it now this week.
Wow.
Yeah, they got our rink filled right up.
That's
So,
great for the revenue, because, well, that's really good. And those teams coming now will get, the word will get out there, and they'll start flowing in by themselves where you won't have to track them down all the time.
Yep.
Any other questions in that? That's quite a brief. It's like 50 pages. Do we need a motion to accept it? Marion?
No,
No, we're good for just taking it for information.
yes.
Okay, well, there's no further questions, we'll just take that for information and move on. Council resolution status, that's pretty self-explanatory. Actually, that's a good example of how many motions we make, not very many. And we just take that for information again?
there we go.
Okay, information items, adoption of information items, is there any questions in there before we? Does anybody want to speak to one of their groups that are in there?
of Commerce has their trade show coming up. Second, third, and fourth. No,
Yep,
Third and
second and
fourth.
third.
second and
We're in
third.
it, aren't we?
We've rented a booth, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're going to set up when we can go and when we can't.
He's
Anything else? Any other questions in there? Okay, if we could get a motion to adopt the information items?
I'll motion that we adopt the information items as presented.
Councillor Moore? Question, please?
Moved by Councillor Moore, sorry, to adopt the information items as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, motion to go in camera.
We'll make a motion to go on
Councillor
camera.
Zimmer? Question, please?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to go in camera at 8:03 PM.
All in favor? If we could turn off the camera, and we'll take a 5-minute break. Thank everybody for coming. We're live.
They're alive.
Okay, we are out of in camera, and we'll need some motions. The first motion we need is on the tax sale of property. And who would like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Carlson? And can I hear that motion, please?
Moved by Councillor Carlson to authorize administration to accept an unconditional offer on the number 4 Skyline Crescent property for the appraised value subject to legal review.
The wording okay with everybody?
Yes.
She
All in
said
favor?
She said unconditional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carried. The next one is Cottonwood Access. Do we need to make anything on there? That you'll just take care of that, or you'll talk to Ally and...
required.
Okay. Next one is personnel. Where'd my paper go? You threw my agenda away, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
I lost my agenda.
Sorry, yeah, the next one's personnel.
Next one's personnel?
Yeah.
Okay, and who would like to make that we're going to move lease to learn a lot.
No, number
This is the
3
campground.
is the
Okay.
campground personnel.
I lost my agenda.
It's okay, Don.
Somebody
It's
threw it away.
okay. You just be
Okay,
human.
the campground for the putting it out for tender to a contractor.
I'll make a motion for that
Councillor Zimmer.
to put the contract out to tender.
Can I have the question,
For the
please?
Centennial Campground.
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to direct to direct administration to move forward with the request for proposals for the campground attendant.
Do we have to say Centennial Campground again? No, it's the only campground we got.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. And the last one is nomination of Lee Schultz to the Learn a Lot Play School. Is that right? Committee. Who would like to make that motion? Councillor Schlossberger. Question, please.
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to appoint Councillor Schultz to the Learn a Lot Play School Society Board.
All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. Councillor Carlson. We are adjourned. Camera off, please.
Namaste.